speech and we condemn any form of anti-Semitism. To that end, we've made the decision to suspend our relationship with Kyrie Irving effective immediately and will no longer launch the Kyrie 8. We are deeply saddened and disappointed by the situation and its impact on everyone. Again, if you're just with us, Kyrie Irving and Nike are not in business for the moment. That relationship is suspended. And as we said just before the break, Kyrie Irving's shoes are wildly popular amongst basketball players, amongst kids in particular. But the newest model apparently is going to be on hold for now.
Yeah, and the key word in that whole statement was suspends. So we understand that that model is going to come out at a certain point, just not right now. But to that point, he's in the top 5. And money means things. Numbers mean things. That's why it was such a big deal for Adidas to cut ties with Kanye, because he's one of their top sellers of the whole company. And so that has a financial impact. And usually in sports and in brands and anything, if you're producing and making money for someone, they'll tolerate a lot. So that tells you how big this situation is and the magnitude of where we are with Kyrie.
Yeah, money means some things, but it doesn't mean everything. And sometimes you have to make a decision what you think is best for your organization and the right way you think you should go. And that's where Nike is right now. Kyrie has offended a lot of people, even though he's apologized. There are a lot of people that were offended by what is going on. And, Nike is saying, hey, at this moment, we can't do business with you because of that.
And there's a cost-benefit analysis that goes into that from corporations in terms of what will the public tolerate. Can we continue to sell our products? And then there's a more personal and conscience-driven aspect to it, depending on who's running those companies. What do we want to stand for? What do we think the people who represent us should stand for as well? And clearly, Kyrie Irving has crossed a line and touched a nerve with corporations, with fans, and with the Brooklyn Nets as well.
Yeah, listen, everybody's saying through their actions how they feel about what is going on as far as from a corporate standpoint. So if you're Kyrie, he's obviously suspended for 5 games. You have to sit back, reflect, really do your homework on what you're speaking on, and be able to articulate your points well when you have to go out there and speak on them, and moving forward, understand how to move in our society as far as in these situations.
Yeah, I think we're in the digital age. And so in the digital age, you can't just say something and it just dies in the air. Once you say something, it's going to get repeated. It's going to get researched. There's going to be a lot of ripple effect. And so I think that, to your point, anytime you say something as an athlete or anyone with a platform, you have to understand that there's a ripple effect that's going to happen. There's going to be people that research it. There's going to be people that fact check it. There's going to be people that are going to be offended. Us sitting here right now, we know anything we say, people are going to have a problem with it on the internet, because everyone's not going to agree with everything we say. Sure. So at least you have to do your research. And if you do your research, that's when you can stand behind something and be like, look, I've done all the research I need to do, and this is how I feel. But you can't have it the other way. You can't say how you feel and then do the research, because you get yourself in situations.
The digital imprint is out there, and even if it's someone who's not particularly famous, once they become famous, then people research everything they put out there in the world and find things good or bad. If you're around Kyrie at this point, he's issued the apology. He's got to wait out a suspension of at least 5 games. There are groups, including the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets, the Anti-Defamation League, who want to meet with him. What advice would you give him at this point?
Listen. I think the best advice you can give to Kyrie now is you got to listen. And you got to listen to not just yourself, not just your innermost circle, because sometimes your inner circle, they're going to be of the same thought process as you sometimes, because maybe raised in the same way, have the same views, the same philosophies. But if everyone around you, is saying something different, if everyone around you is alarmed by something, I understand that sometimes, there's the sheep mentality, and I think Kyrie doesn't like that mentality of everyone thinking the same. But sometimes if everyone around you is saying the same thing, you have to listen and not necessarily agree or say what they say and feel the same way about what they say, but you have to listen to understand what they're saying. And I think there was a week period where Kyrie was not listening. He felt like he understood what he was trying to say, and even though we didn't maybe understand what he was trying to say, he wasn't listening to anyone around him. And then the apology came, it seems a little bit too late.
Yeah, I still don't entirely understand what he was trying to say, but I think what rubbed a lot of people the wrong way was how stubborn he was in terms of trying to put out a statement without an apology included in it. Yeah. So he sort of acknowledged that he had
hurt
groups of people, angered groups of people.
I don't think we would be here today if the apology had came sooner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let me see. Yeah, I've been married for 4 years.
Okay, you better know that. Okay.
I thought about it. Carry the one. I've been married for 4 years now. I wouldn't have lasted 4 months if I didn't learn how to apologize when I did something or said something that offended my wife. Even if I didn't think I was wrong, I have to look at how she interpreted it and how it affects her mentals on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And once you're able to look at yourself in that aspect and tell somebody I'm sorry for the way you made them feel, even if you might not be on the same common ground, that's when you make growth as a person. And that's what I would tell Kyrie, is that's the type of thing you have to. Sometimes you have to say you're wrong, not because of what you necessarily believe, but for how you made somebody else feel.
Exactly. And I think he gets caught in his intentions.
Yeah.
Like, because Kyrie Irving, we can all say, like, he has a good heart. We see the things that he does.
Oh, he does tremendous work.
He does so much.
He's not just this.
Exactly.
It is important that we put out there, Kyrie Irving is not just this.
Exactly.
There's going to be some people that think he is just the guy that promoted this movie or the book, whatever it is. He is more than that. He does so much good in the community, but right now he's caught up in a very dicey situation.
And don't let what you've done get overshadowed too. So it's like we all know the good things that Kyrie has done, and then there's these things that make you like, oh, Kyrie, why don't you listen more or understand that his intentions? He gets stuck in. I think his intentions of, I wasn't trying to hurt this group, but to Brendan's point, you did.
But you did.
You
That's
did,
the
and
thing.
that's the step, the maturation step that needs to happen.
Yeah, I'm 25 years in.
25 years?
30-point games now. That's the most by any player since Wilt Chamberlain, nearly 60 years ago. How much do the new complementary players, and in the case of Tim Hardaway, a healthy Tim Hardaway, around him, help his case this season as an MVP candidate?
Well, I think that they certainly help. You know, JaVale McGee, Christian Wood, you know, like you said, healthy Tim Hardaway Jr. But I think a lot of it is also on Luka, because he is coming into the season with a lot more maturity. And you see that these guys are playing with a lot more chemistry. They've got Luka's back, you know what I mean? And like, he's just as happy to see their success as, you know, as obtaining his own success. And I think when you have that going on, there's a lot of chemistry, a lot of camaraderie. And I'm sure that Jason Kidd has a lot to do with that. I mean, you're talking about a Hall of Fame point guard coaching another point guard that can probably end up in the Hall of Fame.
You know, the issues with the Brooklyn Nets are well chronicled. Not even starting with, but including Kevin Durant's trade request back over the summer. But he's still there. He's still putting up points. He's one of 9 players averaging 30 a game right now. Under these circumstances, if the Nets turn it around, what would it take for KD to get in the MVP conversation again?
Win games. That's all you got to do, man. You just got to win games. They're 2-6 right now. And, you know, like with the Brooklyn Nets, it's just been one thing after another. I mean, we can go all the way back to the playoffs last year against Boston. I mean, that was a quick first-round exit. And KD was in a situation where he was sort of forced to try to do everything on his own, and he sort of learned that he couldn't. But, Matt, as you know, a lot of this MVP balloting, the vote, is about narrative. So say somehow they navigate these choppy waters. I mean, we haven't even talked about Ben Simmons, that situation. I mean, he's hurt right now, and we don't know how long he's going to be out. But say they successfully navigate these waters and end up, you know, up in the top 4 or 5 in the East. Well, then that narrative plays into how KD was able to block out the noise and ball. And, you know, as we both know, all KD wants to do is hoop anyway. As a matter of fact, I think today or yesterday he was talking about how all these distractions have really, you know, they've really bothered him. He said his only solace is actually getting out there and hooping. So I could see that happening if somehow they fix all this.
Boy, as good as he is, it's hard to see it from here right now because it's a mess in Brooklyn. That would be a Herculean task for Kevin Durant. Warriors are in a funk. They're 3-6, 0-4 on their 5-game trip, which concludes tonight in New Orleans. Steph Curry is one of those players averaging 30 a game. He's putting up numbers. How much can the Warriors put on him at this point in his career?
Well, you know what? I'm not necessarily all that worried about the Warriors. I mean, it's still early, and, you know, I'm not a stat nerd or analytics nerd, but if you look at the plus minus of the starters, the starting five, those guys are kicking butt. They're still playing Golden State Warriors basketball. This is a team with championship DNA. And so they're going to get it right. But I think they just have to figure out the rotations with some of these younger guys, James Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody, Jordan Poole. But once they get all that going, Steph is going to be a big part of that. I mean, and Steph is going to be a big part of them getting all those young guys going. I know Draymond Green said the other day that, yeah, it's sort of the young guys' fault, but it's just as much our fault because those veterans have to be the ones that lead them in the right direction so they can get this thing corrected.
Yep, absolutely. And before I let you go, if you're not a stat nerd or an analytics nerd, what type of nerd are you?
Cooking nerd. I heard you earlier, you didn't know a 21 Savage song. You should be ashamed of yourself, man.
That doesn't answer the question exactly, but okay. All right, Michael, so you're right with this.
Okay, I'm a rap nerd.
Rap nerd. There you go. All right, on record. All right, appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Right.
Hey, Monday you can catch the all